Vajana Kalagatem. Please chant. Astau Masam Nipitam Yan. Umyaschodamayam Vasu. Swagabhid Mukumarahim. Vajanya Kalagatem. Astau Masam Nipitam Yan. Umyaschodamayam Vasu. Swagavir Mukumarabhem Arjanya Kala Agate Astun Masan Nipitam Yan Umyaschodamayam Vasu Swagavir Mukumarabhem Arjanya Kala Agate Astu Masam Nipitam Yan Umyaschodamayam Vasu Swagabhirmukam Arabhem Arjanya Kala Agatem Astau 8 Masan during months Nipitam drunk Yat which Bhumya of the earth Cha and Udamayam consisting of water Vasu the wealth Swagobhihi by his own race Muktum to release Arabhe begun Pajanya the sun Kale the proper time Agate when it arrived. Translation by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. With its rays, the sun had for 8 months drunk up the earth's wealth in the form of water. Now that the proper time had arrived, the sun began releasing this accumulated wealth. Purport. The Acharyas compared the sun's evaporating sphere's wealth of water to a king's collecting taxes. In Volume 1, Chapter 20 of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada explains this analogy as follows. Quote, clothes are accumulated water drawn from the land by the sunshine. Continually for 8 months, the sun evaporates all kinds of water from the surface of the globe, and this water is accumulated in the shape of clouds, which are distributed as water when there are need. Similarly, a government exacts various taxes from the citizens, which the citizens are able to pay by their different material activities, agriculture, trade, and industry. This, the government, thus the government can also exact taxes in the form of income tax and sales tax. This is compared to the sun drawing water from the earth. When there is again need of water on the surface of the earth, of the globe, the same sunshine converts the water into clouds and distributes it all over the globe. Similarly, the taxes collected by the government must be distributed to the peoples as education, work, public work, sanitation, work, and so on. This is essentially for a good government. The government should not simply exact taxes for useless squandering. The tax collection should be utilized for the public welfare of the state. End of quote. And end of the purport. Do you remember in elementary school, in class of science, what is the name of that cycle? The cycle of rain pours, it washes on the rivers, goes to the sea, and the sun again evaporates that water and comes into clouds and come back again to the continent and again. Yeah, exactly. It was, or it is called the hydraulic cycle. Hydraulic cycle. Hydro, hydra in Greek means water, which is pretty similar to Indra, the demigod that controls the rains and the water. Well, not the water, the rains is Indra. And here we have Hydra. Hydra, hydraulic, is something that is referring to the water. So in the same way, this is Indra, Hydra, or hydro in English. Water is an essential element in the creation. Is a basic element of creation. And why I'm saying this? Because, for instance, the human body is 75% made out of water. And the same thing is the amount of water compared to the amount of land in this globe. There's a majority percentage, I don't know exactly what it is, of water than, than continent, than soil that is exposed where the people can live. And we'll see that there's a season when the globe is turning and rotating. There are seasons, and for us it's springtime after the winter. And here apparently in the Srimad Bhagavatam is in autumn when everything starts, when the rain season comes, is when plants start growing. The seeds start booming, the flowers, the animals and the people too want to mate. This is the season in which everything starts getting prettier and greener, and there's a mood, a different mood on people. The people start getting happier and celebrating it. And we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam that after Krishna have neutralized Kaliya and Balaram killed Pralamba, and there was this fire, the rain comes like a balm, a balm for everybody, and people start celebrating. And when the rain comes and washes everything and start creating again ponds, and the dams start getting again to the level is needed for the crops and the people throwing the cereal seeds and start booming, people start celebrating and create parties and festivals, and there's a time of joy. And there's a I'm going to read this, which is a beautiful Sikh prayer that in which determines that the foundation of a sacred vision for the environment that is inherent in the people, because Why we're happy? Because the earth is booming. Because the earth, Mother Earth, is providing us with food. So there's an inherent relationship with, with the earth, with Mother Nature. It's a way of honoring and respecting the earth. And the verse said, Pavan Guru Panipita Mata Dharad Mahat. Air is Guru, water is Father, and the Great Mother is the earth. And this I'm going to read in the Bhagavad Gita text for, chapter 3, text 4. What it says about it. All living bodies subsists of food on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagya, sacrifice, and yagya is born of prescribed duties. Yeah, as I was saying, there's an intrinsic sensitivity for in all human beings for nature and a more sustainable relationship between us. And that water that comes from this evaporation is pure. And all along the different religions, water is a purifying element. It's not only that we are made out of water mainly, it's the purifying effect that it has in the body and in our consciousness and in our future lives. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, we get baptized and we go through water. Many new Christian denominations are actually submerging the people on water. The priest is going to water. In the same way that Jesus Christ was baptized when John the Baptist got into the river with him and cleansed him of all the sins, of all the past karmas and all the past lives. For them, for many of them, we are born dirty for past lives. Therefore, we need to get baptized and purified. It's a fact. In the other one, the other sloka that called my attention is chapter 7, verse 8. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, and the sound in ether and ability in man. The sound of Om, every sound runs through the air rapidly, but in the water it's faster because it's more solid. And the thicker the element is, the sound travels quicker. So, this being said, when we chant, when we pray, when we are in the process of cleaning, when we're in the process of pouring water to get that filth out of our systems, all the sinful activities that we created before we came into the Krishna consciousness. No, that water is the one that cleans. Water, as I'm saying again, is not just only a symbolic element that is an analogy to say that the word is there cleaning us as water does when we take a shower or when we get baptized, is the words. The words that are written in the Bhagavad Gita, that are written in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that are written in all the books that Srila Prabhupada took the time to translate and put them in his own words for us to understand clearly and soundly. So I'm sorry, I'm going to be reading because everything in essence is in here. Verse 70 from the second canto regarding what I'm saying. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enters like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. We live in oceans. This is a hyperbolic, literary figure. Oceans of sin, oceans of sin. But there's also oceans of mercy, oceans of love. Big bodies of water in which all these rivers that feed the seas, coming incessantly with words that will help us to grow spiritually, never will grow but stay still. The ocean never will get overflowed with these waters. Why? Because it's evaporating. It's evaporating the water, and there's a balance. There's a beautiful balance in this creation. It works better than a Swiss clock. Everything works in perfect harmony. The only ones that are not harmonious are ourselves. We need that. Yeah, we and that is why we're destroying ourselves among ourselves. That is why we're destroying the planet. We're not harmonious. We are little demons, influenced by big demons, and we, as I said in my class before, influenced by external charlatans and how do you say that? Oh God, I forgot it even in Spanish. Theories, coming from charlatans, and we believe it, and news agencies saying all kinds of crazy stuff, and we believe it. But there's some pure water that comes from the right source, that is raining and pouring incessantly in the most beautiful form, in Sanskrit, in beautiful verses. One of the things that always mesmerized me when I was little and I was learning and trying to elucidate what was India and why India had their story written in cantos. Canto are songs. In Latin, cantus. Canto comes from cantus, which are songs, and were written in verses and cantos, and it was all written in verses. For me, it was something that called my attention all my life, and now I understand it. It's the best way to learn the universal history, how to understand who we are and why we are what we are, beautifully. as rain, as water, as purifying water. It comes in that way. There's another verse, and, which is in the chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, and 11, 11:40. No, I made a mistake. No, I think 39. Yes, 11:39. Yeah. You are air, and you are the supreme controller. You're fire. You are water, and you are the moon. You are Brahma, the first living creature, and you are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times, and again, and yet again. It's a beautiful prayer in which water is also mentioned as the important element that comes unto us uh, to redeem ourselves from this material world, from this material life. And the last one, the last verse I want to read, that thank you for letting me know about this absolutely stupendous verse, which is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, verse 7, text 7. Lord Krishna instruct Uddhava, and it's the verse 44. O king, a saintly person is just like water because he is free from all contaminations, gentle by nature, and by speaking creates a beautiful vibration like that of flowing water. Just by seeing, touching, or hearing such a saintly person, the living entity is purified, just as one is cleansed by contact with pure water. Thus, a saintly person, just like a holy place, purifies all those who contact him because he always chants the glories of the Lord. So, time and time and again is repeated that contact with saintly persons, with gurus, with other devotees that are in better spiritual shape than we are, sadhu sangha, um, chanting the holy names constantly, chanting and reading constantly, and not only just reading, but internalizing it, just um, trying to apply what we're learning through all this is what purifies us, is the reflection of our own purity. When we get out of the shower, the only way that we see that we're clean is when we dry ourselves with a towel and the towel comes clean. When we put on our dress every day and when we take it off, it's not stained. It is clean, still clean, because we're clean already. We did a good job. And the same way we have to do it in the spiritual terms. Is uh, what happens in this process of cleaning ourselves. Um, the toes and the toads and the frogs cannot live in any water different than clean water. That's when one of the beautiful things in the spring is that at night frogs croak and the crickets are happy. Everybody's happy because everybody's clean. In the same way, we have to be when we're clean, when the waters come, when the rains come, when the uh, springtime blooms. In this particular case, is when autumn comes. As an analogy, we need to be as happy. Chant and be happy. It's what uh, Srila Prabhupada's motto. Chant and be happy. So yeah, this is all what I have to say for today. Any questions? Any comments? Any objections? Observations?
Is it on? Yes, thank you. I was just thinking, Prabhu, when a person's in a mode of ignorance,
Excuse me, when the person.
when a person's in a mode of ignorance, he doesn't know he's in the mode of ignorance. So he might think he's clean, but he's actually dirty.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. Normally, an ignorant believes that he is right.
Yeah.
I'm right.
And then in Kali Yuga, everything's upside down, so the Brahmins are considered Sudras, and the Sudras are considered Brahmins. So we don't have leaders, we have misleaders. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next.
Thank you for the comment. Regarding your comment, yeah, people that live in ignorance, ignorantly, completely ignorant, they suffer. People suffer. People suffer because there's some piece missing somewhere. People is not satisfied. People get money and get fame and they get suicide in a moment. And people buy cars by the dozens and collect them and take care of them. But at night when they go to their beds, there's one piece missing. So they ended up hitting their wives or cheating on her or drinking more than what they should or no eating. But at the end of the day, everything ends in the toilet and people is conscious about that. Oh, I'm so happy I bought this jet. And started going around the same beaches, the same ports, the same, and at the end of the day, like, and now what? People is, no, and they go with their friends and get drunk in this baseball game, and at the end of the day, they go to bed with one cute girl that he picked up in the stadium and things, and at the end of the day, they're empty. People is empty. And they start paying attention to charlatans and false yogis and false prophets and things like that because they don't know. They're still in ignorance. But they in I don't want to say they as if I am already purified. I'm not. I'm still in the middle of my shower. No, um, um, we all need that. There's something missing in this puzzle. There's something missing in this life. I got it all, I think, but I'm not satisfied. I can get no satisfaction. And I try and I try and I try. And there's nothing going on in my life. I need something else.
It was about that song, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. And they Vaisheshika went up to Mick Jagger at the airport and he said, "Are you getting any satisfaction?" And yeah, and he says, "Don't bore me." And then the BTG article was, "I can't get no satisfaction because they don't know where to find it."
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
We're lost. We're lost. We don't know where we are.
Lost to ourselves. And Ravinda Sarup once gave a class, and he asked the devotees after the class, how did I do? And he says it's always good to get an opinion from an outside source, because we don't always know where we're at, but the spiritual master knows where we're at, or he's supposed to. So Thanks.
No, thank you.
John. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Very wonderful points. There's many
Thank
to
you.
point out, but obviously this class is limited. And I have a two-part question. Since it's only 8:10, I'll usually do one part. If you allow, by your
Excuse
mercy.
me, can you speak a little slower?
100 miles an hour is not, I'll decrease it to 50 miles an hour. Okay. I have a two-part question. If you allow, since it's only 8:10, I'll ask it so it won't be one long question and comment. But really, the one point that you that came to mind that I appreciated, and especially in regards to this particular verse and purport, is that you were mentioning that when it rains, especially after a drought, when it rains, everyone starts to celebrate. It's like a festive moment when there's
Yeah.
drought. And a purport, it compares that this rain is the material wealth the government gives from taking taxes and giving it back to the community. And we see that we hear that it's basically two forms of rain or wealth: material wealth and spiritual wealth. When Prabhupada came, tried to preach Krishna consciousness in India, he also had a reign of wealth, spiritual wealth. Unfortunately, nobody was interested. Generally speaking, we're only interested in things we could see. But like you guys were mentioning, I can't get no satisfaction. The one thing Prabhupada will mention that I appreciate is that there's a nice quote. It says, I forgot the quote now. I'm forgetting. It basically says, "You would never invite a thief into your house. So why would you allow thoughts that steal your joy to make themselves at home in your mind?" So there's many thieves that steal our spiritual wealth, our peace of mind, like envy, pride, vengeance. And we see that Ramachandra Khan, he was rich, but he was unhappy. Why? He was envious of somebody who was poor, Haridasa Kaur. Same with Dasha to Shiva. And you were also mentioning a verse from the 11th Canto, chapter 7, verse 44, that just by seeing a saintly person, people become happy and they become purified. But we see that and I'll speak for myself, if I saw Prabhupada and he only had spiritual wealth, I'm not interested. I couldn't appreciate such a great personality because, like you said, people in the mode of ignorance don't know they're in the mode of ignorance. So I know I couldn't appreciate Prabhupada because I would probably think myself, oh, this is not a great personality. He doesn't have any material wealth. So there's a nice quote by Buddha, and maybe you could expand on it in one last quote and expand on what are your thoughts. Buddha says a nice quote. He says, if a fool be associated with a wise man, even for all his life, he'll perceive the truth as little as a spoon perceives the taste of soup. If an intelligent man be associated with a wise man for 1 minute only, he'll perceive the truth as much as the tongue perceives the taste of soup. And we see that, by Krishna's arrangement, the early disciples of Prabhupada in the West could appreciate the wealth Prabhupada had to give, the spiritual wealth. And that's one thing I could appreciate. And maybe I have one last quote from Prabhupada verifying this matter. He says, the reason why a spiritual master exhibits, he describes why a spiritual master or acharya exhibits material wealth. This is from I'm glad I wrote this verse down. I'm glad this point came up, and maybe you could expand on it. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 7, verse 61. Prabhupada says, in regards to this point, he says, to draw the attention of common men, sometimes saintly persons, acharyas, and teachers exhibit extraordinary opulences. This is necessary to attract the attention of fools.
Yeah.
But a saintly person should not misuse such power for personal sense gratification. So my question is, what are some steps we could take to appreciate pretty much everyone, because everyone's a great personality because they're a part and parcel of God. Not that, oh, you're great because you have some money. And we see that Prabhupada mentioned it. People appreciate him when he got the money, the rain of mercy. But what are some steps we could take to appreciate, this person may not be able to help them, but let me try to help them because they're a great personality, because they're a part of God. So I'm attracted actually to everyone, regardless. So maybe you could expand on some of these points. What have you, some realizations you have that you could share with us regarding it?
Yeah. Thank you for the question and the intervention. Yeah, there's material wealth, and we know what is translated into. But depending on how we use it, it get more useful and transcendental and useful for when we use it for ourselves to create envy out of greed. Because normally when we're accumulating stuff and money and things that represent money, it's out of greed. It's out of envy of others that have it. It's out of fury because we're challenging ourselves and in our families and everything, and we're trying to demonstrate that we can do it also. That selfishness is wrong. But when we got money and we know how to utilize it, is what it is important. Is our spiritual master says time and time and again, don't tell me how much you have. Tell me how you're using it in the good of others. Is what is important. Krishna tells Arjuna, you have to be doing what you are supposed to do. Bhakti, one of the translations, the first Bhagavad Gita I had was by a man, a translation from the Tamil by Juan Mascaro, a scholar, a Spanish scholar that was an Oxford teacher. And Bhakti for him was talents in action. In talents in action in a devotional service. And I truly believe that any talent we have, we ought to put them in action in the name of God. You're a musician, why you're working as a accountant? If you're a musician, play, do something because you're going to express yourself much better than what you can do in other fields. That's when our bhakti begins. We have to be happy doing what we have to do, what we must to do. Nowadays, in this age of Kali Yuga, we don't go to schools and get graduated into something we love or we're passionate about or we're good at. It's because there's a job market ready to receive us in whatever we're going to be trained. We're not getting educated, we're getting trained for job market. We're getting dehumanized in a way. That human aspect, who we are in essence, is getting lost somewhere down the road. You got to make money and work hard, and no, you got to be successful and famous. You got to have a lot of girls or boys in cars and a beautiful apartment here or there. No, that's the meaning of success in this age, which is absolutely contrary to what we are in essence, as I'm saying. Did I answer your question, or I got lost again?
Yeah, you made many more points. There's always many points to like appreciate and expand on. So yeah, you answered my question. And my second question is regarding this whole point, this whole topic, where Prabhupada mentions like generally speaking, and that's goes true for all of us. We're all here to purify our anarthas, this materialistic motives, and that's why we're here to Bhagavatam to show us what type of motives we have. And regarding the point where definitely when Prabhupada was successful externally, oh, let me jump on what is it, board wagon or whatever it is called.
Excuse me. The thing is, I can't hear very well
Um,
what is here.
We all have had these motives, and that's why we hear about Bhagavatam to purify us of these motives. Like when Prabhupada was successful, and I'll speak for myself, definitely, we all here to purify. We all have these tendencies. When somebody's successful, let me be their friend. They have the property, they have the money. Let me jump on a board. When you don't have
Yeah.
no money, no property, I'm good.
Yeah.
And so we see this is precisely why Bhakti Siddhanta, he says that he would rather print books than keep the temples, because he see, of course, there's nothing anyone can do to take away from whether some of his disciples were sincere or insincere. Still, his disciples did so many things to spread Krishna consciousness, but that's why Bhaktisiddhanta says, when he was going to leave this world, some of his disciples were arguing over which room that they were going to, you know, have with office. This is my office, etc. Petty
Yeah.
stuff at Kali Yuga. And of course, we can't criticize because we all go through that. We all have our petty arguments, so we really can't judge and criticize. But there's one pastime I'd like to share with you. This is from, let's see, it's from the Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav, Volume 2. The chapter is called Guru Disciple Interactions, and it's from page 263 through 264. Long story short, there was an installation of some deities, and they were building a new building, a new temple. And everything, it was very festive. And everyone was happy they was installing the deities. And so long story short, there was one brahmachari is described who was misbehaving with a woman. They didn't say how he was misbehaving. Maybe he was just talking to her, flirting with her. I don't know. But some of his god brothers blasted him, chastised. A bunch of them came over and blasted him, chastised him. He became so embarrassed that he left the movement. He wasn't going to come back again, actually. And so during the course of the festive events, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta asked about this brahmachari. He was like, "Where's such and such brahmachari? I saw him earlier, but I don't see him now." Like, he asked around, "Where is he?" And his disciples kind of were like ashamed. They was like, we kind of blasted him, and I think he was embarrassed, and I think he left. I'm not sure if he's going to come back. But we had no time to look for him because Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta was also called Prabhupada. Prabhupada, we're installing these deities for you, so we had no time to look for, our God brother. And you know what Bhaktisiddhanta says? He says something very profound, very compassionate, you could say. He says, paraphrasing, I care more about that one brahmachari than I do about all these arrangements you have made for me in this temple, in this building for this deity. Because it is very difficult to bring one soul to the shore of Krishna consciousness. He's simply drowning. This is what regarding the ocean water. He's simply drowning in the ocean of misery. And so for one conditioned soul to come to the shore of Krishna consciousness, that's very difficult. And so push him back in the ocean, that's considered very deplorable.
Yeah. Is identical to the passage in the Bible with the prodigal son.
Oh, yeah.
The son left, asked for his what he was supposed to inherit, went away far for years, spent the money in all kinds of sinful activities. And when he was broke, he came back, with some remorse and repentance to his dad. And his dad made a lavish party because he came back. And his other sons were furious, like, we've been here working with you, back to back, helping you, and we never had received this treatment. Why? And the explanation is really, I don't like the word, inspiring. It is really inspiring because it shows the nature of the Father.
Absolutely.
He is repentant. And in the same way, Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya have done that. Srila Prabhupada embraced the craziest of the beginning, the people that meant nothing for society. the last ones in the link of the chain of society. That's what he did. Jesus Christ embraced Maria Magdalene, being a prostitute. No, that is the grandeur of the human aspect that is inherent also in us, if we that is dormant, that is sleeping because we have other agendas. When we start, yeah, when we start getting purified, we're able to do that in the same way. We're not any different than Lord Chaitanya. Well, we're different, yeah, we're very different, but we're parts and fragments of God. So we can do it. We're in potentially we can do it. The process is a daily process. It's a large process, a large, sweet process that we can embrace, or we're embracing. And yeah.
My last question
Excuse me.
is,
And it is true. Nobody gets near a person that is a loser, but the successful people. When you're successful, when you're handsome, when you have a nice car, is when you get the calls, the phone calls. Hey, buddy, what are you up to? No, it's not when you're broke. Yeah.
my last question, and dilemma devotees we all face too. Well, basically, in this pastime that I appreciate about Bhaktisiddhanta, when he says it's better to print books than to, build temples and manage temples. He was in his pastime, like you said, you quoted so many nice stories from the Bible. The same thing. And but the reason I appreciate this pastime because I want to connect it to a quote I'm very inspired by. He was basically Bhaktisiddhanta was essentially saying in this pastime that when we upgrade our temple, that's doing things right. When we upgrade our relationships, that's doing the right things. There's a nice quote that says, management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. There's also another quote that says, it is much more important to do the right things than to do things right. And we see in our life that if we upgrade
Exactly.
our shoes, upgrade our clothes, upgrade our house, Bhaktisiddhanta says, even if we upgrade our temple, but none of this could give us any happiness if we hate others. The temple looks so beautiful, but
Yeah.
I hate that guy.
Yeah.
That means you need to upgrade your humility, your tolerance, and your forgiveness. So what is the use? That's why we hear Bhagavatam every day to
Absolutely.
upgrade our character. So my question is that even when you want to upgrade your relationship with others, like Prahlad, a dilemma we face, he wanted to upgrade his relationship with his father while maintaining his point of view. Sometimes devotees disagree. But sometimes the tendency is that you want to maintain your relationships with others or upgrade your relationships with others, but others do not want to do the same. So sometimes people become so depressed. I want to be friends with them, but they don't want to be friends with me. And we see that kind of ruins people's Christian consciousness. So what do you say to somebody's, many people go through all that situation. What do you say to people who go through that circumstance
That
of
can
what's
be
happening?
changed. That can be changed. That can be changed. Yeah, we want to befriend this person, but this person is not. It has happened to me actually. No, and I let the time and Krishna work on that. Sometimes we have to change a little bit, and there's going to be a moment in which one word that we say is going to change the entire dynamic between that person and myself or those persons. It happens. It's a natural tendency. What is important is how it's not the social part that is an important thing. It's the spiritual part. We came here to get relationships with God and the ones that are in the same page with us. Yeah, everybody does it, but there are some that make it more a social dynamic than a spiritual one. But we don't have to care about that. That changed with the time. When people, that's the other people's problem. When they are like putting some distance between you and those persons, is their problem. It's not you. You try. You honestly try. You wholeheartedly tried. But if they didn't there are the ones that are missing a good guy. You're not. If they rejected you at the first time, probably it's not the right people for you to mingle with. Because if they're in the same situation than before they heard about what we're absorbing every day through the shastras and the conversations and things, and we're still in the same, in square one, I truly don't need that kind of people. You don't need them. We need people that is connected in the same, vibrating in the same wavelength that we are. Is the key, I would say. Yeah, I have felt it myself. Still, after 9 years, still there are people that don't know what's my name, or probably they know, but not a word. When I say I'm going to like, no, keep hopping on the horse, no, like, oh, what happened? But you know what? I don't care. One of the persons that was like that was the person that one day unexpectedly called me, hey, Carlos, come sit down here. And we became really good people. I used to, Hare Krishna Prabhu, continue. Hare Krishna Prabhu, but I kept saying good morning, good afternoon. Sometimes I was lucky and I had like, Hare Krishna. No. Wow, thank you. And in a moment, he was the most amazing person, and he was the person that enthusiastically pushed me to get initiated. He was more enthusiastic than I was because I was kind of scared, like, oh God, this is a huge commitment. I don't know if I'm ready. You're ready, don't worry. Yeah, and this was a guy that for 2 or 3 years never say a hello, like with a nice face expression or anything. And he was the one. So people can change. People in we are all the same in essence. Culturally, we're different. Culturally, not only because we're coming from different continents, from different um, cultures that are mega cultures, microcultures in our houses. I don't know what were the dynamics in their houses that they're so abrasive in their dynamics with other people. We don't know. We have to understand that. We have to pray for them. We have to say, like, I'm sorry, no, this poor soul probably is suffering, is having a bad day. Let's pray for him or for her. And that is the way in which we can start truly a process of purifying ourselves. Because we immediately go to a different direction. We're not taking care of the social aspect, of the social dynamic between two people that are in conflict for no reason. And that is in our jobs, that can happen in the bus or whatever. Is our attitude that is going to change the other people's attitude. Probably it's not going to happen, no, right in the spot, but it can happen. And that will bring us happiness because we did what we were supposed to do. And we did it. And we keep on doing it. Does it make sense? Any more questions? Any? No? Bhagavatam ki jai.